Greetings, my dear viewers. It is I, Drayhon, and welcome back to another Dungeons & Dragons character concept optimized, where we make min-max multi-class builds to their fullest degree. And today we are looking at the Paladin and the Blood Hunter, which, much like the Osama and Tiefling race, are moral opposites. Most of the time, a Paladin is lawful and good, while a Blood Hunter is chaotic or neutral and good or neutral. So, neutral good, chaotic good, any combination of those. Though there are times when both classes have a twisted side. For example, the Paladin, Oath of Conquest, and the Oath Breaker are two oaths that are vile in nature, being lawful evil or even chaotic evil in some instances, while the Blood Hunter is able to give in to the dark forces that they practice and to work with, or is actually a good, lawful entity that probably takes things a little too far. I absolutely love both of these classes. The Paladin is one of my favorite martial half-casters, while the Blood Hunter is just an awesome flavoring of really a monster hunter. It's just very good design, and I wish it was more than what people say is unofficial. Even though it is made by a person at Wizards of the Coast, Matthew Mercer. Anyway, why this multi-class specifically? Well, the Paladin actually has similar aspects to the Blood Hunter in their class descriptions. Paladin swears to uphold justice and righteousness, to stand with good things of the world against encroaching darkness, and to hunt the forces of evil wherever they may lurk. And the Blood Hunter, willing to suffer whatever it takes to achieve victory. These adept warriors have forged themselves into potent force dedicated to protecting the innocent. And they both face forces of darkness. While the Paladin takes up an oath to the light, the Blood Hunter uses the dark forces to destroy evil, using their own tactics against them. While this is technically morally wrong, because it does in fact corrupt the Blood Hunter, and logically speaking, an eye for an eye, or using someone's own power against them, seems morally wrong. And it quite is. But for this multi-class combination, I think it would work perfectly as a character. Not only in the story format, but as a min-max. And that is because the Divine Smite features, as well as the Crimson Right, both increase the damage output that these classes are able to deal. So what are the goals of this build? Well, for the goals of this, what I'm calling Blood Oath multi-class, is of course, the race and background are going to be two very important factors in this build. The Paladin will need level, fighting style, the Oath, aka the subclass, as well as some spells. Blood Hunter will need their level, fighting style, the Crimson Rights, because there are different damages that you can add to your Blood Hunter's attacks, and these are the Crimson Rites. We also need to choose Blood Curses, which are effects that you can inflict on your target, such as giving them a fear effect, or blinding them, or in some cases even causing recurring poison damage, or necrotic damage rather. We also need the Order of Blood Hunter, their subclasses, and if we choose the right Blood Hunter subclass, we'll also need to think about spells. And finally, we need to think about the feats that would work well with this class. And there are some that are pretty good. Now, something that we're definitely going to have to think of is what monsters we're fighting. This is a little metagamey. We need to know exactly what we're fighting. So you need to cooperate with your Dungeon Master on this build. If you have a campaign focused around fighting the undead, around demons and devils, or maybe even dragons. It really just depends on what the campaign is about. So the extra damage that you'll need to be doing is going to be based off of Force, Radiant, Thunder, or even Psychic. Just taking all three into account. Most elemental damages are going to be resistant or even immune for some of these cases, much like the dragons having each their own restrictions. Now, these four could even be immunities for the gem dragons if your Dungeon Master is a butthole. This class is designed to face off against the forces of evil. You do not fear the darkness. The darkness fears you, as it should. So, starting things off, we need the race. Now, with either of these classes, the Osama, Tiefling, and even Human would be perfect picks for a Paladin Blood Hunter multi-class as far as a story goes. But we need the Vedalken for the purposes of this optimization, because we need the most powerful Blood Hunter we can get. And the reason being, the Tireless Precision gives us a bonus to our ability checks made with our chosen skill and tools that we get from this feature. We're going with History and either the Poisoner's Kit or the Forgery Kit. I would say Poisoner's Kit for min-maxing the most, so you can get some extra poison or even necrotic damage, depending on what poison you're able to make. But what we really want is that Vedalken Dispassion, because we get advantage on all Intelligence, Wisdom, and Charisma saving throws. This is important for effects like Frightful Presence, or maybe a Charm ability. This way, we can avoid being afraid or being controlled. That is what is important for this build. We need to avoid anything that could make us fall to darkness. Except ourselves. We also get partially amphibious, which isn't entirely important, but it does help in certain situations. Moving on to background. The best background, in my opinion, would be the Haunted one, because we get a Monster Hunter's Kit as one of the items in our equipment list. We'll be able to face just about anything undead related, starting right out the gate. We also get the feature Heart of Darkness. People know that we've been through stuff. We've seen stuff that they could not even comprehend. So it's a very good background to have. But all in all, since we are trying to min-max here, the best one to go with is the Strixhaven Student. Silver Quill to be more specific, because we get additional spells added to our Paladin spell list. Dissonant Whisper, Silvery Bobs, Calm Emotions, Darkness, Beacon of Hope, Daylight, Compulsion, Confusion, Dominate Person, and Telepathic Bond. They're added to our spell list. They are not the free spells. That comes from the Strixhaven Initiate feat we also get from this background. We'll get 2 free cantrips, Sacred Flame and Fish's Falconry, and we'll also get the first level spell, Bane. Because it is perfect. It's the opposite of Bless. You put a disadvantage on your opponents. When they make a saving throw or attack, they have to roll a d4 and decrease their roll by that amount. Perfect for this build and what we are going for. Starting off with the Paladin, we're going to need 7 levels. For the fighting style, I would say Blessed Warrior is going to be our best pick. This will give us Word of Radiance and Toll the Dead as our 2 free cantrips. We're also going to want the Sacred Oath, Oath of Conquest. We get some Oath spells, which are added to our list of spells, and we have them prepared automatically. And they do not count against the spells we are able to prepare. Armor of Agathis, Command, Hold Person, and Spiritual Weapon. We also get Channel Divinity, Conquering Presence, and Guided Strike. Guided Strike gives us a +10 to our attack roll, while Conquering Presence lets us cause our enemies to cower in fear. Literally. They get the frightened condition if they fail a saving throw, which is another reason why we wanted Bane as our first level spell from the Strixhaven Initiate, because this deals in Wisdom saving throws and the frightened condition. The easier it is for a foe to fall to fear, the better off we're going to be. And that is because of the last ability from the Oath of Conquest Paladin. Aura of Conquest. A creature frightened by you drops their speed to 0. And they can't really do anything. Nothing. They are so afraid of you, they are practically paralyzed. Which is absolutely perfect. And this is when we get into the Blood Hunter. The Blood Hunter has a couple of abilities that will help us with the Aura of Conquest. We're going to go fully 13 levels here. Fighting style, Dueling, Crimson Right, we're going to grab Frozen and Storm. When we use our Crimson Right feature, we'll be able to add damage to our weapon attacks based on what right we're using. Frozen being ice, cold damage, and Storm being lightning damage. The blood curses of Anxious, Exposure, and Muddled Mind will actually be really good here. Anxious will make it easier to make our opponents fear us. Exposure, now this one's a good one. It gets rid of any damage resistances from our target. Or if we quote-unquote amplify the blood curse, we get rid of any immunities that this creature has. Muddled Mind, disadvantage on all saving throws for them. Amazing. So as every other Blood Hunter feature. The Hunter's Bane, which we talked about a little bit ago, is what gives us some of our great features. We have advantage on Wisdom survival checks to track Fae, Fiends, and Undead, as well as on intelligence checks to recall information about such creatures. And this gives us our Hemocraft save DC, 8 plus your proficiency bonus plus your Hemocraft modifier, which most often is going to be intelligence, which is why our intelligence is going to be one of our highest scores. Yes, this is different from the Paladin's charisma needs, which are also pretty important. And you're also going to need strength and dexterity and even constitution, making this a multi-ability score dependent build. But I think it's worth it in the end. The Blood Maledict, our blood curses, we get a lot of different ones. We start off with, what was it? 1 blood curse, and we learn 1 at 6th and 10th level, which is why we have 3 listed. And each time I use a Blood Maledict feature, I choose one of the curses to invoke, yada yada yada. We also get the Crimson Rite, which we just talked about, being some extra damage that we get to put on our weapons. And when we activate, the weapon becomes magical for the purposes of overcoming resistances and immunities. And only at 2nd level, which is amazing. The Paladin spell Magic Weapon doesn't come into play until much later, so having this early is viable. Brand of Castigation and the Grim Psychometry. Both are very good features. For example, the brand actually gives us some... You get to sear an arcane brand into your target. And you know the direction of the branded creature. Basically, it's Hunter's Mark. You get some extra damage on top of it as well, which is amazing. The Psychometry, you get a supernatural talent for discerning secrets surrounding mysterious relics or places touched by evil. Whenever you make an intelligence history check to recall information about the sinister or tragic history of an object you are touching or your current location, you have advantage on the check. Also, you get a special vision determined by your dungeon master, which is really good and why we picked history for our Vidalkin's skill. But nothing is more important than the 13th level ability. Brand of Tethering. This is before we even know what order we're picking. This is just regular Blood Hunter stuff. To quote D&D Beyond, starting at 13th level, the psychic damage from your brand of castigation increases to twice your Hemocraft modifier, so intelligence modifier. Additionally, a branded creature can't take the dash action. That's not really important because as long as they are frightened by us, they can't move anyway. Here's the important part. And if it attempts to teleport or to leave the current plane by any means, it takes 4d6 psychic damage and must make a wisdom saving throw. On a failure, the attempt to teleport or leave the plane fails. Plane shift, forget about it. Dimension door, not on my watch. Your foes are not leaving until you destroy them. The Blood Hunter is amazing. For your order, your subclass, the best one in my opinion is Order of the Ghost Slayer. If you've seen my Danny Phantom build, then you know a little bit about Order of the Ghost Slayer. You get another Crimson Rite, Rite of the Dawn. This lets you deal radiant damage for your Crimson Rite. You'll get Curse Specialist, which I believe gives you another usage of your Blood Curse. Yes. You gain another use of your blood maledict feature. In addition, your blood curses can target any creature, whether it has blood or not. Ghosts, cursed. Liches, cursed. Skellies, cursed. Amazing stuff with the Order of the Ghost Slayer. You can use Order of the Ghost Slayer with the Blood Curse of Exposure on a Dracolich, getting rid of any of the damage immunities that you think would be the most annoying for that combat, and then use that opening to your advantage. Aetherwalk, you basically become a ghost and are able to step through objects. It's pretty good. The Brand of Sundering. Your Brand of Cazitation exposes a fragment of your foe's essence, leaving them vulnerable to your Crimson Rite damage. So, double damage. Whenever you hit a creature with a weapon which you have an active Crimson Rite, you roll an additional Hemocraft die when determining the extra damage from the Rite. Additionally, if the branded creature has the Incorporeal Movement trait or a similar feature, it can't move through creatures or objects while branded. Hey, ghosts. Time for you to die. This is an amazing multi-class build. The Oath of Conquest with the Blood Hunter Order of the Ghost Slayer is phenomenal. You could basically take on an ancient Dracolich with your party and annihilate it. Or a ghost dragon. In fact, you can just take on a whole entire horde of undead dragons. Or the aspect of Tiamat as a Dracolich, controlling an army of undead dragons. How's that for an encounter? But we're not done. Feats. Great Weapon Master would indeed be a good feat for this build, but we do have the Dueling Fighting Style, which is a one-handed weapon. So, it's a toss-up. It depends on what you want to do. We do have the Guided Strike from our Oath of Conquest, which would make the Great Weapon Master a good feat to take. But the one feat that is definitely important is the Martial Adept. This will give you 2 maneuvers. Go with Precision Attack, which will give you advantage on your attack roll and a little extra damage, and Sweeping Attack, so you can attack an additional creature in the same attack, which is awesome. I love it. Now for your final recommendation, the Paladin spells. For your first level spell, Divine Favor, Silvery Barbs, thanks to Strixhaven background, and Wrathful Smite are some good ones to have. Divine Favor giving you an extra 1d4 radiant damage to your weapon attacks. The second level spells, Aid and Zone of Truth, are also very good spells to have, more for the flavor as far as Zone of Truth goes, but the Aid spell is actually pretty good spell to have. And with that, I am done for today. If you liked this build, let me know down below. And if there's anything that you would do differently, also let me know down below in the comment section. If you are looking forward to more builds with the Blood Hunter, let me know what your favorite thing about the Blood Hunter is. And until next time, this has been Drahan, and I am offline.